Business Math Worksheet Day 24. Now moving into the personal finance section, and this first part is going to be some banking thing. So the first part is going to be filling out your check register, and it says on June 25th, Janet Brooks' checking account had $4,101.22 balance. During the following week, she had the following transactions. Check number 772 to Cypress Water Supply for $289.96 on June 26th. A $792.52 cash deposit on June 27th, and a $1,429.52 cash deposit on June 28th. Fill in Janet's checkbook with these transactions. Be sure to update the balance after each transaction. So what you're going to see is something like this. If I hop over to the Alex program, is they're going to have a check register like this, and you would type in the check number and the date. They may have a few previous ones typed in. Notice their first transaction on this one was December 18th, so they put December 16th and 17th in there. You're going to put December 18th for the next one, and then there's going to be a little drop down where you're going to be able to choose where that was. Southwest Cellular, so I would pick Southwest Cellular and put it in there. So I would have check number on this one, 327. I put in December 18th. I pick where it was from, and then it was a payment, so I put my payment over here for $259, and then I put my new balance when I subtract. So everyone's going to have a drop down. In the drop down, if it's the deposit, you're going to be able to select deposit. You'll just have to scroll down and find it. On the deposit, you're just going to put the date, because obviously you won't have a check number. But if you have a check number, you'll put it in there, the date for all of your transactions. From the drop down, you'll pick out the thing, the amount, if it's a payment or a credit. You won't have to do this part here, and then the balance in there. So if I go back to our homework page, and we're going to have our checkbook register. There's really not a whole lot of drawing space on here, but if I just kind of go over here to the side, it starts up and it has that starting balance, $4,101.06 or in $4,101.22. So it's going to show a few things, but eventually in one of those, the last transaction that they show, because remember on that one that we looked on Alex, they had a couple transactions. The balance for the last transaction they show is going to be the $4101.22. So you'll see that as one of the transactions. They might have a couple before that they just made up, but that'll be the last one they show. You're going to fill out the rest from there. So you're going to put a few more transactions in. So check number 772, you'll put in that first column, 772 on June 26th, so you'll have June 26th, and then you'll select from the drop down where it was. I'm just going to abbreviate Cypress, but you'll pick it out. I don't really have enough room. You're going to put it in the debit or the credit column. You're going to put it in the first one, which is your payment or your debit column. Your payment was $289.96. And then on the end, if I had a little more space, I'd put my new balance. So if I had 4101.22, I made a payment of $289.96. My new balance on this date would be 381126. So that would be my new balance. I'll just write it there on the side. Then the next two are deposits. So you put the date, June 27th and June 28th, but they're going to be in the deposit column. So my deposit of $792.52 and my deposit of $1,429.52, which you probably can't read on here. And then the last column is going to be all your balances. And I'm just going to put the balances to the side. So if I was at $3,008.11.26 and I did a deposit, I'm going to add $4,792.52. And so now I'm going to have $4,603.78 for my next new balance. Then I'm going to do another deposit. Let's get rid of this writing from when I was writing on that other page. And then I'm going to do another deposit, so I'm going to add again, add $1,429.52. And so my final balance on my last transaction, $6,033.30. And it's going to look something sort of like that. There, number 2, I got enough room maybe to write. So number 2, again, it's going to start out and have a few things in there already. So it might have something up here and something over here, and eventually the end balance is going to be $4,637.97. The balance up here, $4,637.97. So we're going to have the one for the check number. We're going to have the date. We're going to have the name of whatever it was we did. We're going to have if it is a payment or if it is a credit. Still don't have enough room, but it'll be closer than I was before. So, on, and this one's going to say August 12th. Whoops, that's the date. August 12th. That's where my balance was, and I'm going to finish filling the rest of it out. So on August 13th, I'm going to put that in there. I made a deposit, so deposit, and I'll select that from the drop down, and I made a deposit of $613.50, so that's going to go in the credit, $613.50. So if I take my $4637.97 and I add my deposit, $613.50, I now have a new balance of $5,251.47. $5,251.47. Then I'm going to do check 448. So 448 is going to go in here. The date is August 14th. Yep, almost looks like August 14th. Pretend this is August 14th. To Southwest Cellular. And again, I'm going to pick that from the drop down. And it was a payment of $179.85. So I'm going to subtract my $179.85. And now I have $5,071.62. Then my next one, again, I'm writing a check. Check number 449 on August 15th. That is to Clement's Furniture. So again, I'm just going to pick it off the drop down. It'll be in there for $131.22. And so I'm going to subtract 131.22. And now my balance, $4,940.40. $4,940.40. And so I'm just going to fill out as much of the check register as I can based on the information they provided up there. So number 3, again, I want to fill in my check register, but again, I don't have a whole lot of space to write here. So I'm just going to update the ends. You kind of got the idea how that drop down works, where you have to put in the check number, the date, what it was for. But we started with a balance of $43.72.75. I'm going to make a deposit, so I'm going to add. So $43.72.75 plus $1,407.93 means the balance after that transaction would be $5,780.68. Then I am going to write a check, so I'm going to subtract my $32.77. So now I have $5,747. 0.91, $5,747.91. And then again, I'm going to write another check, so I'm going to subtract my $79.61. So now I have $5,668.30. And I'm going to put those in my end column of my table, but I'd fill in the rest of the numbers in my check register. Number 4, actually to the end, is actually going to have you do bank reconciliation based on this information. It says on December 31st, Kim Stewart's checkbook balance was $3,600. On that date, the bank statement balance was $4,892. After comparing the bank statement with the checkbook register, Kim found the following items. And so they had it listed. There's interest on the checking account. You got interest paid, so you're going to add that in. An electronic funds payment, you paid money out. A bank service charge you end up paying. You have your outstanding checks at the end of the month. Those are the ones that you wrote in your checkbook but haven't gone through. Transactions at the end of the month. Deposits in transit at the end of the month. Those are the deposits you have made but haven't gone through on your bank statement. And then an electronic fund deposit. So I'm going to hop over to Alex again for a minute so you can kind of see what that question is going to look like. And so if I go over here to the review and pick out of personal finance bank statement with the reconciliation process, it's going to look something sort of like this, where you've got the stuff that's coming from the bank, the stuff that you're going to write in your checkbook that you haven't written there, and then are you going to add something in? They've got those list of transactions. Are you going to deduct it from your account? They have that list of transactions. And same thing, is it something you're going to add into your checkbook or something you're going to deduct from your checkbook? When you're done, these two numbers here, the adjusted bank balance on the statement and the adjusted checkbook balance, should match up. So you'll know, hopefully, if you did them right, if your numbers are matching up correctly. So you're going to see something that sort of looks like that when you do these problems. And when you want to add something, you click this little thing and it adds another one. See how when I click that, it adds extra spots? So if you've got more than one to put there, you hit that little arrow thing so that you can add more than one thing into that section. So it looks sort of like that. We go back over here to number 4. So when you do this, you want the stuff that is on your bank statement and the stuff that you have in your checkbook. Or you're going to add to your checkbook. And so when we look at our transactions, the interest paid on the checking account is going to be on your bank statement, but you have to add it into your checking account. And so you're going to go over here and you're going to have a section that says add and deduct. So add or deduct. Same thing here under the bank, add or deduct. If I had interest paid on my checking account, it's on my bank statement, I need to add it to my checkbook. And that would add $5 to my checkbook balance. Electronic funds payment. Again, the electronic fund payment is going to show up on your statement. You need to put it in your checkbook. I would write it in there right away, but they're assuming that you didn't, and so it's a payment we have to deduct. Electronic fund payment. So it's going to deduct $660. Outstanding checks at the end of December. Now these ones are checks that you wrote in your checkbook but haven't gone to the bank yet. So the outstanding checks are actually going to be over here under the bank part. we have to deduct them from our bank statement because we've already written the checks, but they haven't gone through the bank yet. So that's $720. Deposits in transit at the end of December. Again, we already put them in the bank, so we already wrote them in the checkbook, but they're not showing up on our statement yet. So we put those in here. And if there were deposits, of course, we're going to add them. So deposits in transit, we're going to add $200 to our bank statement. Electronic fund deposit. Again, it's money you deposit electronically. You're going to see it on your statement, but it's not in your checkbook yet. So we're going to add that into our checkbook because that's really money we deposited. Electronic funds deposit. And that was for $14.40. So it said that the checkbook balance was $3,600. So we're going to, and they're going to actually add and subtract for you. You don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it on here since they won't, since it doesn't do it automatically for me. So 3,600 plus 5 plus 1440 minus my 660 gives me 43.85. Oops, did I miss one? I did miss one. I missed the bank service charge. I skipped over the bank service charge. The bank service charge was $13, so I have to deduct that because they charged me money, and that's going to go in my checkbook because I'm going to see it on the statement. I need to put it on here. So bank service charge, $13 I should have put over there. So I got to subtract another $13 from my balance. $43.72 is my balance here. Then I'm going to take this balance from the bank, 4892. So if I have 4892 and I added in the $200 deposit that was in transit and subtract off the $720 in checks, I also get 4372. These two numbers should match up, and if they do, that means that you probably did it correctly and got the stuff in there where it was supposed to be. So it's going to look something sort of like that. Number 5, same kind of thing. I've got my bank statement. I've got my checkbook. I want to figure out what I need to add here and deduct, or add over here, or deduct. So, deposit in transit at the end of December. I wrote it in my checkbook, but it hasn't gone on my statement yet. So I want to add that, because I deposited $390. Outstanding checks at the end of December. I wrote those checks, but they're not on my statement yet. So I'm going to put here, outstanding check, 1140. I have to deduct that. Electronic fund payment. I made a payment electronically, so I'm going to deduct that from my checkbook. I'm going to see it on my statement. I got to deduct it. My payment was $800. Then I'm going to do an electronic fund deposit. It shows up on my bank statement, but I don't see it in my checkbook, so I'm going to add that in. Electronic fund deposit, $18.90. Interest paid on the checking account. I'm going to see that on my statement. I have to add it to my checkbook since it was interest paid. That's what I'm earning. So interest paid is going to go up under the adding. I'm going to add $10 there. And then my bank service charge, I'm going to see that on my statement. I don't know what it is ahead of time, but I have to subtract it off. So my service charge is going to go under there. My checkbook balance was $2,500. So I'm going to take $2,500, and again, the computer's going to do your adding and subtracting, but I have to do it here. So add the $18.90, add the 10, subtract off the $800, and subtract off the $22. And so now your balance is $3,578. $3,578. Your bank statement, the balance was $43.28. So $43.28. I'm going to add the deposit of $390, subtract off the checks $1,140, and I should get the same number, $3,578, and that gives you a pretty good idea that, yep, I got them in the right spot if my numbers match up when I balance my checkbook. Number 6, same kind of thing. We have our bank, we have our checkbook register, bank statement. We're going to add some things. So we're going to add some things here, add some things here, deduct, and deduct. So we have an electronic funds deposit. It's going to show up on our bank statement. We did it with electronically. We'll see it on our statement. We need to add it to our checkbook then. Electronic fund transaction deposit $1,040. Interest paid on checking account. Again, that's money we made. We'll see it on our statement, but we won't know it till we get our statement. So the interest paid has to be added to our checkbook. Interest paid, we got $7. Outstanding checks at the end of March. My outstanding checks are the ones I wrote but haven't gone through the bank yet, so they're not on my statement. So I'm going to deduct those from my bank statement. My outstanding checks, $640. Electronic funds payment. Again, I did something electronically. I'm going to see it on my statement. I have to put it in my checkbook since it was a payment. I'm going to deduct it. Payment of $620. Bank service charge. My bank service charge, a fee the bank charged me, I'm going to see on my statement, but I have to add to my checkbook. Service charge of $13. Deposits in transit, those are the ones I've already put into the bank, but they're not showing up on my statement because it was the end of the month. So the deposits in transit, we're going to add $820. So now we're going to try to even things out. It says that our checkbook balance was $2,200 to start with. I got to grab my calculator. So, 2,200 plus 1,040 plus 7 minus the 620 and minus the 13 gives me 2,614. Then I do my statement. My statement balance was 2,434. 2,434. I'm going to add in my deposit, $820, subtract off my outstanding check, $640, and I get 2,614. So that's a good sign. I did it correctly. Those evened out. And again, the computer will do the adding and subtracting, and you just have to make sure your numbers match up. But since we're on here, we have to do the adding and subtracting. Number 7, 8, and 9 are going to be the same type of thing, only now they're going to do a few other different kind of transactions that they haven't done before. And so I'm going to start out on January 31st, Grocery Wholesale Incorporated. Cash balance per books was $74,500. On that date, the cash balance per bank statement was $79,815. After comparing the firm's bank statement with the firm's records, Scott Barnes, a firm accounting assistant, found the following items. So again, we are going to have my statement, and then I'm going to have my books, or the cash balance per book. So the book record books, it's like your checkbook balance. And we're going to have some things we're going to add. and some things we're going to deduct. So, deposits in transit at the end of January, just like in our checkbook register, those are deposits we made but aren't showing up on our statement, so we need to add that to our statement. So, deposits in transit, $20.50. Electronic fund payment. We made a payment electronically. It's on our statement. We have to deduct it from our books. So we're going to deduct $16.90. Bank collection. The bank collected money for me. Somebody made a payment to me. It went directly into my account, and so I don't have it in my checkbook because I don't know when the person made the payment. I'm going to see it on my statement, so I have to add it to my books. So, bank collection. The bank collected $4,970 for me. Bank service charge. Again, something I'm going to see on my statement, but I got to add it to my books. Bank service charge. They charge me $45 to have my account. Interest income. I earned interest on my account. It's going to show up on my statement. I need to add it into my checkbook. $30. And then outstanding checks at the end of January. Those are the checks I've written but haven't gone through the bank yet. So my outstanding checks were $4,100. So now I'm going to see if everything matches up once I do my transactions. My books said $74,500. My bank statement said $79,815. So $74,500 plus $49,70 plus 30 minus $16.90 minus 45 gives me a new checkbook balance of $77,765 for my books at my business. Statement, $79,815 plus my deposits of $20.50 minus my checks of $4,100 gives me $77,765. Again, my two numbers match up, so I have a pretty good idea that I got everything where it was supposed to be. And come on. Number 8. Again, we got to smush this one in here. We got the bank statement. We got our books where we're keeping track of everything. Some things we need to add in here. Some things we'll add over here. Some things we will deduct. And we got to figure out what we're missing from each of our things. Bank collection. The bank collected money for me. Somebody paid me through the bank. It's going to show up on my statement, so I'm going to add it to my books. So $56.70. Interest income. Again, I earned interest. It's going to show up on my statement. I have to add it to my books. $40. Deposits in transit at the end of June. I made the following deposits, but they're not on my bank statement yet, so I got to add them to my bank statement. My deposits in transit, $7,300. Bank service charge. The bank charged me a fee. It's showing up on my statement. I need to deduct it from my books. My service charge was $35. Electronic funds deposit. Electronically, I deposited money in my account. It's not on my books, but I see it on my statement. So electronic funds transaction deposit, $11.30. Outstanding checks. I wrote these checks, but they're not on my statement yet. So I have to add them in. Actually I have to subtract them off since they were checks, but I have to put them on here, and now I have to figure out my balance. My book said I had $61,500. My bank statement said I had 68,105. What do I actually have? Well, I got to figure it out. So 61,500 plus 5670 plus 40 plus 1130 minus my $35 service charge. 68,305. On my bank, I had 68,105. I got to add 7,300 and subtract 7,100, and I get 68,305. My numbers match up, which is a good sign. Tells me, yep, I probably have everything in the right spot. And number 9, same kind of thing. Should be able to write underneath there and have some room to write. So I have my bank statement. I'm comparing them to my records. So my books. I might need to add a few things here and deduct a few things. Add. And what am I going to deduct? So outstanding checks at the end of June. I've written these checks. They're not in the checking account yet, so they're not in my statement. So I have to deduct those. Outstanding checks. Outstanding checks, $37.20. Deposits in transit. I made these deposits, but they're not on my statement yet. $57.40. Deposits in transit. Electronic fund payments. I made a payment electronically, so I'm going to deduct the payment of $19.70. Bank service charge. The bank charged me a fee. It's going to be on my statement, but I don't have it in my books. So the bank service charge, $30. Interest income. I made some money with interest, a whole $10. It's going to show up on my statement. But it's not on my books yet. I made $10. And then the bank collection. Somebody paid the bank directly for me. I'm going to see that on my statement. But I got to add it to my books. $4,180. So the balance on my books was $6,200. The balance on my bank statement was $62,170. So $6,200, 62,000. Yep, I can read. 62,000 plus the $10 interest income plus the $41.80 bank collection minus the $19.70 electronic fund payment minus the $30 service charge. $64,190. That's what I actually have. $62,170. Add in my deposits in transit of $57.40. Subtract off my outstanding checks of $37.20. Says I have $64,190. My numbers match up. I probably did the problem right. So we'll look something sort of like that. So those are the first 3 topics in that new section of your pie chart. If I could scroll up to the top. On personal finance. So, new section, personal finance. These are under the banking parts. And so we did the first 3 topics there. You can check your pie chart, see if you have any of those to do. Otherwise, you can go on to the next homework page.